Okay, so what could go wrong? I hope after this video, everybody agrees overhead lighting is homophobic. Hey friends, it's your good friend Tim Campbell-Smith, and today we're gonna talk about why I chose Mohawk College for photography in my educational journey. We're gonna talk about this choice because I had a lot of options for schools and this was not the most obvious one. And I'm not gonna lie, this is gonna be a little bit of advocating for Mohawk College and for their photography program. And also, if you're still figuring out, what school to go to or should you even go to school for photography, hopefully this points out some things that you may think about when you're considering school for photography, school for art. Before we go too far, make sure you like and subscribe for all things photography, mental health, art, and school. Okay, so Mohawk College, and I'm gonna reference my notes so I don't get anything wrong here. Mohawk College is a public college in Ontario. It's based out of Hamilton, Ontario. They do have campuses in other locations, but their main campus is called the Fennell campus, which is in Hamilton. This is about 1 hour drive with no traffic from Toronto or from Kitchener-Waterloo in opposite directions. But a 50-minute drive to Brampton, it's about a 55-minute drive, again, all of this with no traffic, to St. Catharines and Niagara Falls area. I was looking into what is Mohawk College really known for. It's not photography, I can tell you that. Mohawk College is actually known for skilled trades, and apparently, as of 2023, they trained graduated the most skilled tradespeople out of any college in Ontario. They're really known for skilled trades. I would also go on to say that they're also really known for early childhood educators. They have a lot of centers for it. They do research on it. Also, all of the Facebook groups and everything I'm seeing on Reddit, it's all about the ECEs, the early childhood educators. So I think that's a big one for Mohawk College too. Hamilton, for anyone who doesn't know, about an hour away from Toronto, is a larger city with a lot of diverse populations. They have multiple hospitals and a med school to go with it, and a lot of unique opportunities that are equivalent or very similar to a large city like Toronto, but without that, that size of city. Now, I did do a video on how to choose a school, and I'll link that with this video. So before we even get to Mohawk, or if you're still trying to figure out what do I even care about in a school, go look at that video first. I'm going to use that framework to explain why I've chosen Mohawk College. There's certain things you want to look for in a school as a recap, or if you didn't see that video, we look at curriculum, we look at education, we look at people, we look at the physical environment, finances, possibilities. I think those are the big ones. So, why Mohawk College for photography? Let me start with the curriculum and the education. So at Mohawk College, first, and this goes into my first point, they actually call it the Photography, Still, and Motion program because motion photography is the industry term for videos, or what we would know to be video making. So in their program, they incorporate training and courses on video production, which I do think more and more photographers need to be able to know how to do. Many people, many companies, particularly in the commercial and the corporate space, are looking for photographs and photographers, but who can also offer videos. So there's that training. But it wasn't enough to deter me. I did see another college that also offers video production training, but the program seemed more about video than it did photography. So I wasn't thrilled with that program, and that's why I chose Mohawk. Something else I like about the Mohawk photography program, their curriculum, is there's a lot of studio time. You have a studio course every single semester of the program, which is only 2 years. I also like the length of the program. So I like the amount of studio time. I also like that they teach you exactly what we want. So they are going to walk you through portraits, events. They have a course on events and weddings, or at least at the time of recording they did. They teach us exactly what we want. But then what's also cool with that is they have continuing education courses. So you can keep taking other courses that aren't normally offered in the regular photography program. For example, I noticed that there's a food photography course you can take. There's a landscape photography course you can take that aren't traditionally offered in the program. So you can continue to study and develop your skills, all within the same ecosystem where you originally studied. With the curriculum, there are mandatory general education electives. I think the list is fine. It's not the most exhaustive list of courses you can take. I know I'm pretty happy with the options that they're offering because A lot of them are courses that would interest me, that serve my future goals. So, and they don't mandate too much general education or general electives, which I know can be really frustrating, especially in college programs, when you have to take other courses that aren't towards your program and you're like, what's the point of this? Mohawk doesn't do too much of that. Something else I like about Mohawk, and remember, with curriculum and education, we don't just look at the program you're taking. We look at other programs. We look at other opportunities. Mohawk does have a couple other programs that I'm curious about and would bridge well from photography to them if I choose to go that route. Speaking of that, something, and this is growing in Ontario colleges. So if you go to an Ontario college, know that you can go to an Ontario university as well. And actually universities around the country, because there are what they call pathway relationships or bridging relationships. So it makes it easier to go from a college diploma to a university degree. They have some that I saw that were enticing to me. They have a bridging relationship with McMaster University in Hamilton, with the University of Guelph, with the University of Calgary. So it makes it easier to go from college to university, should you want to. Next, I like the possibilities that are tied to Mohawk College and the photography program. So one, I would kind of like the faculty and the experience that they already have. They're working with clients and working on projects that I'm super curious about. So, if you build a good relationship with them, and this goes for any program anywhere, if you build a solid relationship with the faculty, with the people in the program, that could lead to referral opportunities and relationships that, get you what you want in life later on. I loved something I was really looking for in my education was the ability to travel, to take my camera on the road. And Mohawk has a lot of these between like field trips and study abroad and other forms of experiential education. There's a lot of opportunities, which I loved. Also part of the program, there's opportunities to display your work in shows, so I would very much like that. Also, something else I like tied to the possibilities is just being in Hamilton. I'm coming from a small town and a smaller city, so just having a larger city to work with, like Hamilton, it just affords a lot more opportunities. And the other thing, which ties into my background, like coming from being a consultant and running my own business and supporting other business owners, Mohawk has an incubator hub for students who are starting businesses. So, which I believe most schools have, maybe not every school has, but frankly, especially being a consultant, I value consultant advice and especially expert advice. And if you can get it for free, get it. Next, let's talk about finances. Let's talk about money. First things first, tuition is cheap at Mohawk. When I was comparing tuition fees at Mohawk College to other colleges and other universities, tuition was cheap. The other thing that I liked about the fees, the mandatory fees that you have to pay at Mohawk College, Mohawk is a little more transparent and upfront about all the fees. So, especially at the time of recording, when I was looking at it, they actually list out your tuition fees, your ancillary fees. So every school has like mandatory additional fees for things like your doctor's office and your student union and, snow removal, stuff like that. But a lot of those schools keep those costs hidden, or they just have like long tables where you have to find out like which fees apply to you and you have to kind of try and add it up yourself. Mohawk College is very transparent in this, which I loved. And some of the travel abroad opportunities and the travel opportunities are paid for by the school. So now I'm combining my love of, travel and photography and, frankly, on someone else's dime. There's a possibility for that. Now, you're going to have to apply for that. It's going to be competitive. At the time of recording, Mohawk was sponsoring a trip to Croatia, and there were only 10 spots. And I know someone who applied and they even said, yeah, it is fiercely competitive. So it's not going to be the easiest to get, but it is an option. The other thing with funding at Mohawk, their scholarship and bursary portal is pretty easy to use. Now, I will say, there were no scholarships and no bursaries for my program for photography. A lot of the bursaries and scholarships are tied to programs. So look at those. I thought I was seeing a lot of scholarships and bursaries for what I'm going to call like the hot topic programs, the trades, ECE, social work, and then for unique or marginalized groups of people. There were a lot of, which I don't fall into. So there was that to consider. Next, let's move on to the physical environment at Mohawk College. I'm going to describe the campus as fine. The campus is massive. Now, despite how massive the Fennell campus is in Hamilton, most if not all of it, is connected through buildings. So if you, for some reason, and this is pretty uncommon in college, but if you had to go from one end of the campus through all the interconnected buildings, if you had to go from one end to the other, you could do the entire thing inside, which, in Ontario and in Canada, that's important. But the campus is massive. I did find it kind of funny that the photography classes, which are in the F wing is where most of the creative programs are. The photography classrooms are all like tucked away in a corner. Like, to get to the photography rooms, you have to pass a wizard, outsmart a sphinx. You have to swim the equivalent length of like an Olympic swimming pool. You have to pay a toll to the Grim Reaper, and then you take a train. And if you get to the women's washroom on the left, you've gone too far. You have to come back. It's very tucked away. That said, I will say, especially in the F wing and the creative wing, I found some really creative like nooks and places to work. So you can just sit down, you have a cool working area, and you're good to go. So I did like that. And I'm going to say, the library is beautiful. And there were other cool working spaces and worker spaces where I was like, oh, I'm going to spend all my time here and not in the creative wing. More on those spaces later. And let's talk about people. This is also important when you're looking at a school, is do people look like you? Do you like the people that you're seeing there? Is there diversity? I found that there was at Mohawk. They have a stat, I forget what it is, but a large population of their students are mature students, mature learners like me. And then there are lots of queer people. There is lots of diversity in background. So I really appreciated that. And it was the perfect class size for me. Roughly, 15 to 25 people in a class. Love it. And then finally, are any other factors worth considering for a school? So let me start here. Especially for the Mohawk photography program, you have to bring your own device. You have to bring your own camera gear. And they have recommended gear or recommended caliber of gear. And it has to be a certain grade level. I can afford it. That wasn't a worry for me, but that may be a barrier to some others. So just a heads up, you have to bring your own camera and lenses. They will provide a lot of lights, sets, props, stuff like that. But the actual tool that you use as a photographer, your camera and your lenses, you have to bring yourself. I kind of like this because then you start building up your own familiarity and your own comfort level early with whatever you want to. Another school I looked at, they provide all of the gear you could ever want. Camera, lenses, lighting, everything. They provide it all, but it was all Canon, which we are not knocking Canon here. I'm a Canon girl myself. We're recording this on a Canon right now. And when I get my upgraded gear to go to school, it will still be Canon. But what about people who are diehard Nikon fans? What about the Sony folks? So I wasn't, personally, as a value, I didn't love that. Other factors that really appealed to me on this program, it's only 2 years, which means I can go on to other programs, I can go on to other studies, or I'm in and I'm out quick. And something that was interesting to me, Mohawk is not known for photography. It is not known for its photography program. It is not Sheridan College. It's not OCAD. It's not TMU. But when I was looking at samples of student work and I started following, especially Instagram accounts of students, I loved the work I was seeing. And I'm not going to name names, but when I was looking at the body of student work at another school that I was seriously considering, all of the work looked the same. It was very uniform in style, composition, color. And at Mohawk, it wasn't. There was quite a diversity in, even when I was looking at everyone's assignment for one task, there was still a diversity of what I was seeing, which means that you have the ability to independently practice creativity, which I really valued. Overall, I'm excited with what I'm seeing, and I'm excited to go to Mohawk. I'm also excited about the further opportunities that it may afford. This may change, and anything could change, but for now, I'm excited about photography at Mohawk, and if you have any questions about it, let me know, especially once I enter the program and start living all of this. Comment and let me know, what do you look for in a school? What were deciding factors? If you do go somewhere, what were the deciding factors for you? As always, make sure to like and subscribe so we can keep chatting about all things mental health, photography, art, school, you name it. Otherwise, we'll chat soon. Bye for now.